Keyes.
Good to see you, Master Chief. Things aren't going well. Cortana did her best, but we never really had a chance.
A dozen Covenant superior battleships against a single Halcyon-class cruiser. With those odds, I'm content with 3, make that 4 kills. Sleep well?
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
As we count down the days to Halo Infinite's launch, in recent weeks we've taken it upon ourselves to recap the entire series' story so far. And until now, we've discussed the events portrayed in Halo Wars and Halo Reach. Of course, there's still a long way to go, and as we continue our Halo recap, here we're going to be talking about the game that started it all. So settle in and get ready for the full story of Halo Combat Evolved, from start to finish. Combat Evolved's story picks up pretty much exactly where Halo Reach ended. The colony of Reach has been overrun and destroyed by the Covenant, but thanks to the efforts and sacrifices of the UNSC forces on the planet, and of course the Spartans of Noble Team, it wasn't a total loss. The Pillar of Autumn managed to escape, with the AI known as Cortana aboard, carrying crucial military data and vital information about how to potentially defeat the Covenant. Also aboard the ship is the Spartan known as Master Chief. Soon after its flight from Reach, the Pillar of Autumn comes out of slip space and finds itself in proximity of something strange. As Halo Combat Evolved begins, the ship, being pursued by Covenant forces, finds itself close to a massive ring-shaped world of unknown origin. With nowhere left to run and the Covenant hot on their tail, under orders from the Pillar of Autumn's captain, Jacob Keyes, the ship makes for the ring world. At the same time, as the ship is being boarded by the Covenant, Keyes also summons Master Chief and tasks him with taking Cortana and fleeing, so that the Covenant cannot get their hands on the AI and get access to sensitive information, like the Earth's location for starters. With Cortana safely in his possession, Master Chief fights his way through Covenant forces in the Pillar of Autumn and hops aboard an escape shuttle. The Pillar of Autumn crash lands on the ring world, and a fair distance away, Master Chief emerges on the ring world from his escape shuttle as well. Immediately, the Chief and Cortana set out to find more surviving Marines and crew from the ship, eventually meeting up with Staff Sergeant Avery Johnson. They discover that Captain Keyes has been captured by the Covenant and is being held aboard the Covenant cruiser known as Truth and Reconciliation. After fighting past more Covenant forces and using a gravity lift to get aboard the cruiser, on the Truth and Reconciliation, Master Chief and the UNSC Marines alongside him are met with heavy resistance. Eventually, however, they manage to find and rescue Keyes. Once they've reached safety, Keyes tells Master Chief and Cortana that the ring world that they're on is known as Halo. It's of great significance to the Covenant for reasons that are yet known. But, more importantly, Halo is also some sort of weapon. That, of course, means the control of Halo cannot be allowed to fall into the Covenant's hands. As such, Keyes orders Master Chief and Cortana to find and secure Halo's control room before the enemy can get to it, while Keyes himself heads out alongside Johnson to find Halo's weapons cache. The first step in Master Chief's search for the control room is Halo's map room, called the Silent Cartographer, where, after dispatching Covenant resistance, he discovers the control room's location. Once the Chief and Cortana do make it to Halo's control room, some of the pieces of the puzzle start falling into place. But more questions emerge as well. Master Chief plugs Cortana into the Ringworld system, where she learns, for starters, what Halo even is. As it turns out, Halo was constructed by the Forerunners, an ancient alien race that existed in the galaxy 100,000 years ago. More importantly, however, Cortana also finds out that there's something else locked away in the Ringworld's weapons cache that even the Covenant are terrified of. Realizing that whatever is locked in there needs to stay locked in, Cortana urgently dispatches Master Chief to stop Keyes and Johnson from accessing the cache. As the Chief heads back out, he encounters a new enemy, the thing even the Covenant are afraid of and can't seem to handle very well. The Flood, a parasitic alien race that attaches itself to sentient hosts, feeds on them and turns them into more Flood husks. The Flood has started spreading with surprising speed and sweeps through human and Covenant alike in devastating fashion. With the release of the Flood, however, Halo's own defenses begin kicking in as well.
Mira! Hold still! Hold still! Let him have it! Sergeant, we're surrounded!
One crucial character that Master Chief meets around this time is 343 Guilty Spark, an ancient AI constructed by the Forerunners that serves as a caretaker of the Halo installation even now, or the Monitor as the Forerunners once dubbed it. Among 343 Guilty Spark's responsibilities, of course, is ensuring that the Flood stays locked up and restrained, and isn't allowed to spread, and especially not to get off the ring world and find itself free in the galaxy. The AI recruits Master Chief's help in putting a stop to the Flood's advance. And how exactly can that be done? Well, under Guilty Spark's direction, Master Chief heads to a location known as the Library, a place that nearly all Halo fans have some not very fond memories of, where he has to recover an object known as the Activation Index. This index, Guilty Spark explains, is the key with which Master Chief can head back to the control room and activate Halo's defenses in order to defeat the Flood. At the library, Master Chief encounters heavy resistance. Overwhelming hordes and swarms of the Flood assault him relentlessly as he makes his way through winding corridors and hallways and rooms, all of which look mind-numbingly similar. While Guilty Spark provides support by activating Sentinels, automated drones built by the Forerunners to combat the Flood. Eventually, Master Chief finally manages to find and recover the index, following which 343 Guilty Spark takes him back to the control room with some urgency. Just as the Chief is about to insert the index and activate Halo though, Cortana stops him. And here, the full truth of the ring world is revealed. While the Chief was retrieving the index from the library, in the control room system, Cortana learned about Halo's true significance. For starters, it's not the only one of its kind. The Forerunners built several Halo installations, and many are still out there, 7 as revealed in later games, with the one that they're on right now being Installation 4. The Halo rings are indeed weapons, and one of their most crucial purposes was to destroy the Flood. Once activated, the rings will send out a pulse that will destroy all sentient life in the galaxy. The Flood, of course, can only survive and grow when they have sentient hosts to feed on. In the absence of that, they would die. That, it turns out, was the only countermeasure the Forerunners could find against the Flood. 343 Guilty Spark, as the monitor of Installation 4, intends to activate the Halo ring, but upon learning the true nature of the installation from Cortana, Master Chief, realizing how dangerous the ring world is, instead decides to destroy it. Cortana tells him that if he can get to where the Pillar of Autumn crash-landed and detonate its fusion reactor, the resulting explosion would destabilize and destroy the entire Halo ring, killing all the Covenant and Flood on it as well. To do so, they will require Keyes, whose neural implant is needed to destroy the ship. Master Chief heads back to the Truth and Reconciliation to find the captain, but arrives too late. Keyes, as it turns out, is dead, killed and assimilated by the Flood. With no time to grieve, however, the Chief and Cortana retrieve the captain's neural implant from his remains and head to the Pillar of Autumn's crash site. When they get to the ship, they're forced to fight their way through Sentinels sent by 343 Guilty Spark, but are ultimately successful in detonating the ship's reactor. They narrowly escape its massive explosion and race ahead through chaotic destruction and explosions as the Halo installation begins to crumble around them. After luckily managing to find a ship, they lift off and escape just in time as the ring world is destroyed behind them, killing most of the Covenant, Flood, and UNSC forces that were still on it. Realizing that the destruction of Installation 4 is just the beginning of humanity's war against the Covenant, Master Chief and Cortana fly away from the Halo ring's remains. And that's it for Halo Combat Evolved. Next time we'll be tackling Halo 2, one of the series' most ambitious and large-scale stories, so make sure to keep an eye out for that.
Just dust and echoes. We're all that's left. We did what we had to do for Earth. An entire Covenant armada obliterated, and the Flood. We had no choice.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.